Significant developments in the telecom space right there. Thanks a lot for getting us all of that, Ashpreet. Of course, let's get in some analysis in terms of what is happening on the business front with with the acquisition that we're talking about to begin with. Joining me now on the phone line to really discuss the implications of that Airtel-SL deal on the 4G space is Giri, telecom analyst at IIFL Institutional Equities. Thank you very much for coming into the show. Your first reaction really to how this works out for Airtel?
Well, they'll get spectrum in about 17 circles after this deal. And this spectrum is pretty good for handling high volume traffic. And therefore, Airtel becomes a significantly better positioned company in terms of tackling any threat from Reliance Jio, should Jio adopt the strategy of moving its target subscriber base to a very high consumption paradigm. So to combat such a strategy effectively, a telco would need to have spectrum in large quantities, and this acquisition increases Airtel's footprint in this critical 2300 spectrum. This is what the market was worried about as far as Reliance Jio's threat is concerned. And with this acquisition, I believe that Airtel should put quite a lot of these worries to rest.
Okay, so that, of course, is something, as you pointed, was something that people were worried about, and now you can, of course, see how it's playing out. But really, given the fact that we're looking at a very competitive space, a lot of aggressive players, you know, how do you really see a competition really planning out in the space itself?
Well, firstly, with the government easing the rules on spectrum sharing and trading, and it also appears that the MVNO policy will come, the smaller players will have some exit options opening up for them in the coming months and years, which have been denied to them for a long time. For the last 5 or 6 years, the problem in the India telecom space has been that struggling operators did not have an exit option. So now we are seeing companies like Videocon, Instl and all lighten their debt load by selling spectrum to those companies who want it much more badly and are capable of using it. And therefore, the utilization in the industry is improving. And with it, and with the smaller struggling players able to lighten their load and make a exit getaway, we'll see the competitive intensity also reducing. And the industry will also move more rapidly now to a high data consumption field, because that's where the bigger telcos have an exclusive command. The smaller telcos don't have enough of data spectrum. And as data revenues grow, I think the number of effective competitors in this space will gradually come down.
Okay. So you're going to see some kind of a drop-off in terms of how that competition really manages to eliminate some of the smaller players as well. Just a quick question from you in terms of the valuation of the deal. How do you perceive that, and how do you sort of foresee the Airtel stock really reacting on Monday morning?
Well, last time when they bought Qualcomm spectrum a few years back, the stock that morning was up 5%, which should not be by itself any indication of what's going to happen on Monday, but I think it will be generally positively received. As far as the valuation is concerned, I think adjusted for the number of years that Airtel has used up holding the spectrum, the price is higher than what Airtel paid by approximately about 30-40%, which is quite okay given the fact that inflation has also been 7-8% during this time, or even more than that. So it's a fairly priced deal. And let's not forget that the price which I believe has been paid also includes the license fee and spectrum charges which Airtel will have to pay to the government out of the proceeds received from Airtel. So keeping all that in mind, it's a fairly decently priced deal. It's not terribly expensive spectrum given what we have seen in recent spectrum auctions last year and the year before that.
All right, Mr. Giri, thank you very much for coming in with your analysis. That was Giri, telecom analyst, IIFL Institutional Equities, really taking us through how this deal really works out and also the nuts and bolts of it. Thank you for that. Just a bit early.